Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far, and I hope that this video or watching this video is going to make your day even better, just because we're going to talk about makeup, and I always think that's one of the funnest things to do. I love playing with makeup and I really love chatting about it too. So this is my, let's see, February eyeshadow palette Extravaganza. I tell y'all all the time, but if you are new, eyeshadow palettes are really my favorite thing to buy. I mean, let's be real, I like buying everything related to makeup, but truly eyeshadow palettes, there's something about them that draw me in so often. So each month it's pretty much what I buy most of, and February was no exception. So I pretty much I added quite a bit to my eyeshadow palette collection. So if you're interested in seeing what I picked up and basically little mini reviews for each of these, because I have played with these for the month of February and can give you like quick, really like snapshots of the palette, then just keep on watching. Okay, so let's start with the smaller ones first. I've got them stacked on here, and so that way we get rid of those. So some of them I do like to keep in their boxes. Others are just in their boxes because I haven't gotten around to throwing them away. I mean, face it, come on. If you keep it in its box, doesn't it make it seem like it's still a little bit new? I don't know, that's just me. Anyways, the first palette is the ABH Norvina Volume 3, the Mini Pro Pigment palette. This is one that's still in its box. At this point, I'm going to throw out the box because the palette does mimic the same cover, which I love. It is in the same little 9-pan format as their other two, and I love the teal, I love the red. You're going to find that for most of these, not all, but most of them, I have already done a review on my channel. So if one of these has intrigued you in the past, or even you're just seeing it for the first time now, I do have reviews, like I said, for most of them so that you can determine whether it's right for you. I love the packaging. The cherries are in this foiled kind of holographic, I don't even know, foiled is probably the best way for me to describe it, but it looks chunky. Sparkly? No. Anyways, but I love the color scheme. I feel like I've talked about the packaging for 5 minutes now. The inside is lovely. I thought this was a Valentine's Day palette, like in the color scheme, but not. You know what I mean? Like a change up to Valentine's Day like themed colors. And I liked that very much. I love that they included a pressed glitter in here. That I've only ever seen that in the Amrezy palette. I may be wrong about that. Maybe they've done that before, but I love that they're doing that now because ABH glitters are some of my very favorites. They have pretty colors. They're easy to use, easy to work with a glitter adhesive. They look stunning on the lids. Anyways, I very much love this palette. This one was a dazzled for me. It performs just like the other two do, and I reach for those I wouldn't say consistently because there's so much to reach for, but I do reach for those more than I do others, which, you know, I can't say that about some of my palettes. So same thing with this one. I love the quality. I feel like these Norvina palettes are very hit or miss. Just some people love them and some people hate them. What can you do? But I think they are very, very pretty. I love them. I'm one of the ones that I think they're awesome. So there are a couple of swatches for you. And this one was $29. I believe it's limited edition, but I find that the other two are still in stock. And those were supposed to be limited edition. So anyways, the next thing that I purchased, let me take it, yes, out of its box. I purchased this on Valentine's Day. And it is the Violet Voss Sweet Violet eyeshadow palette. I am a huge fan of purple eyeshadow. Plums, purples, like berry reds, deep wine colors make my eye color pop. I have a green eye color and it's like a green olive type, so just certain shades just bring that to life. So I'm really a fan of purples. I'm in the past have not been huge on the Violet Voss minis. I love her full-size palettes. Her minis are kind of hit or miss for me. The donut one that came before this one, I've decluttered that one. But I kind of got hung up on this one for a couple of the standout purple shades. And then this one right here, just very, very pretty. And I'd say they're semi-easy to work with. I don't think it's the best quality of like all of the Violet Voss that I've come across. I definitely think this is, you can tell, this is a mini, and that quality kind of shows it. but it still is very pretty nonetheless. Like, I liked it enough to opt for keeping it and not returning it. It was $18. It is made in PRC, but the mattes, Violet Voss has great mattes, and they can kind of swatch kind of ugly. They can be dry and patchy. These are pretty soft. I don't have any problems with them, but the standout shades, I do find that I kind of have to layer. I have to go in several times, and that's why I say the minis are just not my favorite from her lineup, but still. Anyways, so let's move on. I also picked up the Kylie Cosmetics Stormy eyeshadow palette. This is another one that I feel like got kind of love-hate type thing. A lot of people didn't like it, said it was too sheer and just not on par with other quality of her palettes. I actually liked this one very much. I like the packaging. I think it's very pretty. The butterflies, really feminine. I mean, it's, to me, I can very much envision this being, like this being themed around her little girl. It's very lovely. It's very sweet and innocent, I guess is the best way I can say. Anyways, it's a 9-pan palette as well, and yes, some of these shades are thinner, more sheer, almost topper type, but I haven't needed to use them as a topper. I feel like once you get to a shadow that, or for me anyways, once I get to a shadow that like is strictly a topper and I really can't use it on its own, I'm kind of turned off by that. I like being able to pull double duty, and that I get with these. This purple, this lilac, is so beautiful. It's a purple / lilac, but it has a very strong gold shift, and it looks lovely on the eyes. It's got such an elegance about it, and this is probably my favorite one out of this whole palette, and I very much enjoy using it. There is a gold chunky, it's not a glitter, but it's almost not a powder formula. It's kind of in between, and it takes a couple of layers, but it's very pretty once you can achieve the look you want to get. Again, I like this palette very much. Is it my favorite that she's ever come out with? No, but I like it very much. It's pretty, it's different from other things she's done before, and I'm okay with that. It was a good price point, I thought. It was $28, but the unfortunate thing is that with her site, I think it's $40 that gets you free shipping, and I kind of was on the fence with the blush, and so I ended up caving and getting the blush because I hate paying for shipping. I'd rather add something else to my cart, but in doing that, then you end up paying more. All right, y'all, next it's time for the one that's on my eyes right now, and it is the Colourpop Sailormoon. I was able to get my hands on it. I don't even know how, because that website, I was right on the dot for timing. It was clocking. It reminded me of the old Kylie launches where you had to be like on point. And then I don't think I've ever seen as many cuss words on Instagram as I saw on that Colourpop post saying, hey, it's available now. And I mean, people were mad that it was bumping it out of the carts because it had sold out. It's my understanding they're going to do a restock, which is nice. But this is what it looks like if you are a product of the I guess if you're a child from the 80s but grew up in the 90s, then you know what exactly this is. I was never a super avid Sailormoon watcher. I saw a couple of episodes. It was never like, oh, I gotta watch Sailormoon. I was more like, I gotta watch Power Rangers. But anyways, so, it was highly prominent in pop culture when I was growing up. And so it really does take me back regardless of whether I was a fan or not of the show. So the box is very, very cute. There was a lot of thought and detail put into this, which if you are a Sailormoon, all the Sailormoon fans have been buying this for literally the packaging. Probably getting people who don't even care about makeup buying this. But this is the first time that Colourpop has ever done this lenticular design. And I love it. I love that it's different. You guys know I love different type of packaging. I don't want the same square thing every time. Granted, this is square, but there's a different element about it. And that just makes me so happy. I've heard a lot of people say about this one also that they're not entirely crazy about it, that Colourpop could have done Sailormoon a lot more justice, than they did. I like the palette. I don't love it. I wouldn't say it's Colourpop's best, but truly and honestly, the Colourpop eyeshadow formula is always consistent. This is no exception. It performs really well, blends really nicely. I think what a lot of people were disappointed is, okay, a lot of the shades, like I want more punch. I want it to pack more punch. I am going to tell you that this shade right here called Tuxedo Rose, I have nothing like this in my collection, and this performs more neon than any Colourpop shade I own, and I own quite a few of the eyeshadow palettes. So, so stunning. It's very, very pretty. I don't know why I did it on that hand because I am right-handed and I need to swatch it over here. It's so pretty. It's like it builds. It goes very, very pigmented. If you go in a little too strong, I ended up with my one application I went in first time, I was like, oh wow. So I ended up using that I had on my brush for both eyes, which is crazy. Anyways, these are so, so pretty. These little sequin shades, I guess. So, so lovely. And if you don't really buff them out, that sparkle stays and looks so pretty. So yes, it is a very light and airy type of color scheme. Reminds me a lot of the Stormi palette. And who was it? I don't remember who it was that said that they would have liked, maybe it was Nicole Concilio, like to have seen a like deep blue shade or a standout blue shade to kind of mimic her skirt. But you do have very girly shades. When you see this coral, isn't that ridiculous? It's beautiful. And it's, oh gosh, it's got those little gold sparkles. It's very pretty. And if you are a fan of makeup, if you are a fan of Sailormoon, I would recommend this palette. I think $20 is a fair price point for it. It's very pretty. I love it. I wouldn't say, again, that it's my favorite Colourpop palette, and I don't want that to sound like it's disappointing to me. No, it's very pretty. I'm going to get plenty of use out of this palette, but there's others that I do like more. Tell you what though, that coral shade, it's really doing it for me. Let's move on. We've got 4 palettes left. Millennial Pinx by Melt Cosmetics. This palette has garnered so much hate. No one likes this palette. I think at this point I'm probably like the only one that likes this palette or that has vocalized that I've liked this palette. This is such a beautiful packaging. I think this is one of my very favorite presentations of any palette I own. The pink is my favorite type of shade of pink. And then it's got this raised geometrical design. It's, I don't even know if you're going to be able to kind of see. I'm trying to, well, anyways, I don't know. I can't tell if it's coming across, you guys. So I love the feel of this palette. I love the look of this palette. I love the color scheme of this palette. This fulfills every pink dream that I could ever have. It's beautiful. This shade, Flamingo Dream, one of my very favorite pink eyeshadows of any eyeshadow I own. I have used this so many times during the month of February just because of the whole Valentine's Day theme and have loved it every time. I love it. Love the way it makes my skin look. I love the way it looks on my eyes. I have not had an issue with performance of this palette. Is there a kick up? Absolutely. That Sailormoon palette has a ton of kick up too. I feel like we pick and choose what we want to gripe on about kick up, whereas some have more than others. That's just, I mean, that's just how it is, but the stuff still performs great. For me, this is a total win. This was a dazzled. I did a review on this one, but like I said, most people did not like this. I mean, clearly said they were going to take it back to the store because it was not worth the money. Well, I'm going to go against the grain and tell you that I absolutely love it, and it is very worth the money for me. It's the last 3 down here. I love it, and this was the perfect pink palette for my taste. Alright, the next one, I have done a dazzled or disappointed on this one as well. It is the Too Faced Born This Way, the Natural Nudes eyeshadow palette. So the first and foremost thing I'm going to say is that if you are a lover of all things neutrals, if you love a good neutral palette, then you need to hop on this one because it is stunning. For someone who loves all things vibrant and bold and colorful and can kind of do without neutrals, this is right up my alley, and I'm not even a neutral girl. It's stunning. First off, the packaging is great. I have something to come back and tell you about that, but it's very thin, it's lightweight, but the cardboard is pretty sturdy. But this makes it ideal for travel because it's not bulky. I love it. I think the aesthetic of it is very pretty. It's in my hand, it fits so nice. I don't know, there's something about it that I really enjoy. The thing I'm going to tell you is that mine is tearing already, and I don't know if it's from flipping it back, but I've literally only had it within the month of February. So let me see if I can, do you see, let's see, there we go. Do you see how it's white right there and right there? It literally is split open right there. So, So I don't know if the quality is as good as I thought it was as far as the packaging goes. It seems very, very sturdy. So I'm quite surprised that I had not seen that before. I literally noticed that right now when I was taking it out to show you guys. So that's that. It's disappointing, but what else can you do? The inside, absolutely stunning. The mattes are some of the, I'm just going to say a very bold statement right now. The mattes in this palette are the softest matte shades I have ever used in my life. I don't know if that's due to the hyaluronic acid that's in there. I don't know if, I think there's something in there that also helps to kind of smooth the look of your skin. But whatever it is absolutely amazing. These blend beautifully, they build beautifully. You can even go in with just the mattes and leave the shimmers out of it, and it creates such a beautiful look. As far as the shimmers, there's a couple of them that are a little on the chunky side, but that's okay. I just use my finger. I go in with just, you know, smoothing them on, and they are absolutely lovely. I have to tell you, my favorites are Shimmering Pearl, Sparkling Sand, and Rose Gold. They are just so, so pretty. Glistening Snow, which is the lightest one over here, is one of the more chunky ones that I was mentioning, but it still looks so, so lovely. Let me give you I forgot which one I just swatched. There we go. Here's a couple of the shimmers. Let's get a couple of the mattes so that you have an idea. Just so soft. I think I said this in the review as well. I could sit here and just rub my finger in this pan of product all day and be happy. They're just so, so nice, and I feel like there was a lot of thought that was placed into this palette, just the way it ties all together with their Born This Way foundation and concealer, just the whole lineup. I think there was a lot of thought that was put into this, and I love it. The stars of this palette really are the mattes, but like I said, the shimmers are beautiful as well. So if you are a neutral, a lover of all things neutral palettes, then you need to get your hands on this one because it is incredible. Okay, next up, let's move on to Dominique Cosmetics, because at the start of the month of February, I did pick up the Latte 2 palette. This is when it released at Sephora. So just kind of want to pull back a little bit in case you are new either to this series on my channel or just my channel in general. When I do these videos, it doesn't always mean it's going to be palettes that were released within the month that I'm providing the extravaganza for. Literally, it is any palette that I picked up during the month. So in this case, this palette released in January. It released in February. It might have been the very last day of January at Sephora, but I picked it up at the start of February. So it really will always be based on the month in which I pick it up, whether it's a brand new release or a release that's been out for a while and I just now bit the bullet and decided to pick it up. But I did grab the Latte 2 palette. This was one I knew I wanted. I love her palettes. There's only been a couple that have kind of been hit or miss for me. One of them was the Lemonade palette. I have since decluttered that one. And then the other one is Celestial Storm, which I did keep that one, but it's not my favorite. I did not realize that there were so many toppers in there. But Rustic Glam is probably my favorite out of all her palettes. It's absolutely beautiful. And there is a shade in there that I love using as a blush. And this palette is no exception. This shade right here, and she does market this shade to also be used as a blush. It's called Strawberry Milk, and it is such a flattering shade. Her matte formula is, in my opinion, one of the best out there. I really don't think you can get much better than the opacity and blendability and just the soft texture of these mattes. And I am not a matte type of girl. I would rather use shimmers, metallics, sparkly shades. I'd rather use all that over a matte any day. But these mattes, I reach for them because I love using them. They're easy to blend. They practically blend themselves, and they're very, very pigmented. So here are 3 shades from that palette. And I love, again, that she markets some of her shades to be like face products, like the blush or whatever. I think that's really awesome because that's something that I don't think of on the regular. And if I take a palette like this with me to travel, then I've kind of got double duty there because I've got my eyes and I've got my blush in there as well. Highlight too even. So there are some of the mattes. Just very, very lovely. That brown didn't swatch as opaque as I would have liked, but boy, it performs really, really beautiful on the eyes. So let me give you a couple of the shimmery shades. There are 3 in this palette, and what I found is that they're a little bit more stiff in the pan. It almost gave me flashbacks to Lemonade palette. Not near as bad though. That one was very, very different. That one was in a class of its own as far as so stiffly packed. These are still very pretty, but I do find that I have to dig a little more than I would like in order to get a good pigmentation, a good amount of product. So it's fine, but that's what those look like there. So I don't mind it. I think this palette is a very, it just ties in together really well. It is, again, a more neutral type, but she's really good about putting those pops in there for when you want something a little different. So like, like that one, and then this mint green is so, so pretty. You've got the mustard yellow. So she's got a good way of plugging those in to where it's not just your everyday neutral palette. Okay. Last but certainly not least, this is the least expensive out of all of those palettes, and I think those last few I didn't even give you the prices for. I think the Latte 2 I believe was $42. Same I think with the Born This Way palette. The Sailormoon I think I told you was $20. The Sweet Violet was $18. And the Kylie was $28, and I remember giving you that. But anyways, last but not least, this was a $12.98 palette, and it is probably one of my very favorite drugstore products that I have ever picked up. And it is the Profusion Lovestruck palette. I saw this at the very beginning of February. Walmart was putting out some of the Valentine's stuff, and this was part of that. I have not seen it since, so I would say, you know, if you've been on the hunt for this one, maybe check the Profusion website. This palette it's stunning because not only is the quality amazing, it's got a mix of pretty much everything. So my eyes immediately gravitate towards the neon shades. That's just me, which is the pink, that coral, and then a little bit of a more muted pink, but it still packs a punch as far as being like almost neon. And then it's got some really beautiful glitters. So it's got a baby pink, a fuchsia pink, and then a purple with these multi-dimensional colors in there. It's just really lovely. You've got your neutrals, and they're, I guess, metallic formula. Is it metallic? Anyways, it's so creamy that it looks bold and stands out so much on the eye. They make a great eyeshadow formula. I loved their, what was it? Wanderlust? Was it Wanderlust palette? I loved it, and that left me with such a good impression of the brand. But there wasn't really another palette from or since then that really jumped out at me that I felt like I had to have until this one. And I have reached for this so much over the month of February that it really does surprise me because I'm not the one to really reach for my drugstore products. I don't own a ton of drugstore products. I own some, but I do more of the high-end shopping than I do the drugstore shopping. And this has really caused me to reach for it more than a lot of the high-end palettes I have. It's really great, easy to work with, and I said this before, I can't remember what other videos I've put this in, but the price point can't be beat for everything you get in here. So it's just really, really nice, and I have so enjoyed using it. It's those last 3 right there. And again, $12.98. So I would say be checking your local Walmart if you've been on the hunt for these. That's where I purchased mine. I know I did see it on this was back at the beginning of February. I saw it on the Profusion website. Because this one really is worth your while. Okay, my friends, that brings us to the end of another month of eyeshadow palette extravaganza. I hope you had a good time just kind of watching and seeing what I picked up during the month, and maybe even those reviews helped you out if one of those has been on your radar, help you decide whether it's right for you or not. Before I let you go, I do want to give you a quick verse of the day in an effort to encourage you, motivate you, let you know that Jesus loves you and that I love you. I feel like I say this all the time, but it's even more what I feel more, it's always been relevant, but every day the news gets a little bit more scary, or a little scarier, I guess I should say, what with this virus going around, and there's a whole lot of uncertainty. And I'd love to think that, you know, makeup could just make problems disappear and we can enclose ourselves in our own little bubble and just, you know, play with makeup. But at the end of the day, we all know that that's not the case. Life is hard. Life is real, and life is real hard. No, I'm just kidding. But truly, life is difficult. And on a day-to-day, you know, some of us have all of us have struggles, but we go through them at different times. And so there may be some of y'all who are going through some struggles right now. There may be some of y'all who have really no struggles per se, but you're struggling with the stress of everything that is uncertain right now in the world, in the news, and it's a little bit scary. I've felt some of that uncertainty myself lately. It's easy to get swept up in like what you're seeing and hearing, and all of a sudden it's easy to panic. But at the end of the day, it's just my encouragement to you, my reminder to you that God is in control. He always is in control. And to me, that's the most comforting thought of all, because you are never safer than when you are in His arms, in His rest. And I love being in that place. I'm so grateful that I have Him to confide in, to take comfort in, and to trust in, because no matter how crazy this world is, He is my certainty. And if you don't have that certainty, if you are in a place of confusion, of despair, of you're watching these news and you're kind of going into all this and you're like, I don't even know what this world is coming to, I don't know how to handle all this, it's my prayer that you would allow yourself to leave those burdens at Christ's feet, because He will take care of you in a way that no one ever could. And if you don't already know Him as your Lord and Savior, it is my prayer that you would. I don't have anything to offer you but that. It is the one treasure that I have that I can offer you that is truly meaningful, means more than any of the makeup that we've talked today. But today's comes from Proverbs 2:11, and it says, "Wise choices will watch over you, understanding will keep you safe." All right, friends, I love you guys, as I've said, and I pray for you frequently. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Don't stress. Everything's going to be okay. God's in control. See you soon, my friends. Bye.